Yo, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good day. We're back with another ranked video. Today, we're going to be talking about the meta in ranked today. It's going to be Gibby, Caustic, and Wraith that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you some tips on how to use Wraith and Gibby with this composition and team. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy the content. Hopefully, it's helpful to you. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or left a comment yet, please do so. Dropping my links to Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. If you follow that, that'd be awesome. I really appreciate you guys, but we'll get right into it right now. The first person that we're going to be talking about, this is a game that I played, Wraith, and we're going to be talking about how her tactical ability is super important for repositioning, and her portals are really important, especially when you're running two thick boys like Gibby and Caustic. Really important for you to be very smart and high IQ when you're running Wraith, especially to mobilize your thick boys. So here you see a couple plays where I was able to reposition using the tactical. I'm putting down shots here. This wasn't a fight that we wanted to take, so we ended up repositioning. You got to anticipate your phase a little bit early. You don't want to do it as if you're shot and you're about to go down. You don't want to do it at that point. You want to anticipate before you go down to use the tactical, because it does have that little delay. Here, you got to be aware of your teammates too. So here I saw that my Gibby was actually a little bit hurt and he was getting pushed by the other team. Is where comms is really important. I was able to portal him out of the situation so that he can heal, and that we had a better opportunity to win this fight. When the Gibby is portaled out, he's able to heal. He heals up here. We have high ground on this team. They're not able to push us because we obviously have the height advantage. And here I just want to point out the situation. So we down one, and it's 2v2 right here at this point. And the smart play here is to get the Gibby up, because even if it's 2v2, to have that advantage with your third is super important. So you got to make the smart plays. And especially with reses, my philosophy with reses and respawns is to do it as soon as you can. Don't hesitate. As soon as you hesitate, you are going to lose that fight. In this situation, I was a little ahead of the team. I was chasing this Caustic for a while, and Wraith is really good because you can leave your portal behind and have your teammates catch up to you, even if they're, a little bit behind, and regroup pretty easily. And it's important for you to know that, because you want to stay as close to your team as possible, especially with the team being Gibby, Caustic. Them out in the open, setting a portal out in the open is important, because they need to get out of any situation if they're being sniped at. Here I just found this Wraith, and then you're going to see me have to regroup with the team. So I go back, and the portal's really nice because it does give you a little bit of a speed increase. It's not that noticeable, but it does help get to your teammates or to a position faster than you normally would if you were just sprinting. Maybe it's like half a second or a second earlier, but that second, as you can see here, is pretty vital. So I get here right on time to be able to knock this Caustic and not have my Caustic knock in the process. So we're still 2 up, and then we revive the Gibby. Wraith's phase here is really good. Obviously, with the crypto ult, it's ineffective to Wraith. You can phase out of it and not get hurt. You can use the phase to reposition in a fight. Get better positioning, know where the team is at, and then finish the kill. Once we finish the fight, we're always checking for ring. Here we had 20 seconds to get into ring. Luckily, we were able to come up behind this team, get an easy squad wipe here. Then once we are able to push into ring, we get pushed by a different team ahead of us. And Wraith is really good here in this situation, especially when you're corner of the ring. You have the portal. I use it in a little bit, but you can see that you do have the portal, so you can portal your friends into safety. You can see the lifeline resing right in front. You can shoot. I usually start shooting before the res is done, so that one of my shots might hit the person who just rezzed. Again, crypto ultimate here, ineffective for Wraith with her phase. And then here I'm portaling. So for me, it's making the decision. You have to be a high IQ player. You got to make the decision, okay, I'm going to portal and find a place that my teammates are safe. And for me, I was safe here. I'm under one person. There's a person on top of me that's being shot by a different team. I'm able to go up top, get this person off of this height, It was a lifeline. They didn't get the res off, and then she ends up getting killed by a different team that's scoping her from a different side. But in this situation, that was important because you don't want anybody in your vicinity, especially as you're trying to get position in the ring. You want to take out your threats, as I've talked about in previous videos, so that you have the position in ring to yourself. Gibby here is really good. We have cover anywhere we go, so we have mobile cover is what we call it. And even if we're in the open, we do have, a couple seconds to decide where we want to go. So in that situation, we were in the bubble, we were healing up, hid behind the car for a little bit, and decided we need to push this team on the left. We need to get rid of them because that was our threat in position. So now we have height in position in ring, and all we have to do is really take care of the next couple squads. So we know we're getting shot from the top of what we call God Spot. So God Spot is usually a spot in ring that has ultimate height. So that's usually this spot here if it's a slum ending. But in this situation, they actually probably messed themselves up. So you can see by the composition of this team's legends, they don't have mobile cover. So they don't have a Gibby where they could have shielded up to recovered their health and their shields. We actually did. So in that situation, we were getting shot and we had the mobile cover with Gibby, and we were able to heal up and then fight that team because they didn't want to lose their height and they didn't really have cover, so that we were able to pick them off with the G7s. Here, I saw that my teammate was pretty far away from us, so I decided to port, even though he probably was okay. He ended up, finishing this Caustic pretty easily, but just in case he needed to get out, I wanted to set him a port. Kind of the easiest way. And again, you can use ports. So one way that I like to use ports as well is to help your teams also, your teammates, get out of the way of a crypto drone, just like that. I don't think it worked in this situation, but you can set ports to have your teammates also have kind of invincibility to the crypto ult. We were able to finish this team and get the dub. Also, if you're playing Gibby, the best thing to do here is in this next game is find a purple body. Kind of tip number one out of anything is find a purple body off drop, you'll win the game. No, I'm just kidding. In this situation, I'm actually in this game, I'm playing Gibby. One of the best things about Gibby is having his arm shield. One thing that frustrates a lot of people, I love to use the 301 when I'm playing Gibby because it actually feels like it reduces a little bit of the recoil. You'll hear a lot of people complain about the Havoc being OP with Gibby because it seems like there's no recoil when you're using a Havoc. And the same can be said with the 301. In this situation, I kind of want you guys to get to learn a little bit from my mistake here. My mistake was trying to thirst that lifeline. When I thirsted that lifeline, I gave myself up because I'm such a big target, and you got to be cognizant when you're playing as Gibby is you can't really try to go for thirst as much as you can with maybe like Wraith or Bangalore when you can get out of a fight or out of a situation really quickly. You have to be really conscious about you being in the open, using cover, and taking smart fights when you're Gibby. You got to be really conscious about that. And the same can be said with Caustic. And one of the things that I want to talk about with Gibby, Caustic, and Wraith is that it really does matter for composition for ranked gameplay. And I'll tell you why. It's because in situations like endgame, which you'll see in these next two games, you really have an advantage over the team when you have a Gibby ult going and a Caustic ult going at the same time in such a small space. You really have like a big advantage when that happens. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Here you can see I'm using the bubble to shield myself from Bangalore ults, from shots, using his fast healing abilities while he's in the dome. And again here, so we get somebody knocked, and I want to talk about some smart plays here. So in this situation, our Caustic is knocked, and I'm going for the res beacon. So I'm headed towards the res beacon because I know that he may get thirsted, and we'll be able to grab his banner, and I'll be able to res really quickly. So I'm communicating with the Wraith, telling her that, hey, when he gets thirsted or when he gets down, grab his banner, and I'll be able to grab his res as soon as I can. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, again, if you hesitate with any res or respawn, you're most likely not going to be able to get it. So as soon as we grab banner, we are pulling the res. Because if we hesitate, then the teams are going to collapse and they're going to be like, hey, they're getting the res, and they'll have time to get to us. So in this situation, it was pretty funny to see they actually ended up pushing this res, and then they ended up getting third party because another team also pushed the res. So luckily our teammate was able to get out of that situation, and the other team focused them, and we're able to find some boxes on the ground and loot up and get back into the game. But that's really important when you're talking about ranked, and not just with this composition, with any composition, is to pull reses really quick and kind of be high IQ with it, and you know, do it quickly. With Caustic, you have a big ability to hold a building and position, and with Gibby, you're also able to deter some of this pushing from the other team using his ult. Here, I'm able to contain these grenades within the bubble shield so that we don't have just grenades all over the house that we're trying to contain or hold. So here, you know, we're able to use Gibby's fast heal. We're able to use Gibby's shield. The Wraith is phasing out, so she's not getting hit by the grenades. And you really want to be conscious about aiming down sights every time you're in a fight, because if you're not using Gibby's arm shield, you're not taking advantage of what Gibby has to offer. And again, I got onto height here because that's the best advantage that I could have. We could stay in the building as much as we can, but if they have a Caustic or any other player that's willing to push through the gas, they actually could probably kill us in that situation. Here, the Wraith is really good in situations where you need to scout an area. The Wraith set the portal to see if we were safe to take the portal. She said, no, we're not safe to take the portal, so we have to go out on the bridge. We have them distracted a little bit. There is a team right in front of us, and with the Gibby dome shield, you can actually throw it pretty far. So don't be afraid to toss it when you're moving, when you're rotating, because that actually really helps. Especially if you get shot a couple times, you can heal up like I did there, and you have some mobile cover, and you can kind of reset and get ready to sprint again. So we were able to go through the bridge, get position in end ring, and kind of wait for our next move. And our next move was to try to portal under the building. Here, the Wraith is just checking to see how much she is getting ticked by the storm, so that she knows, hey, I can go through the left side or the right side depending on how much I get ticked, so that I can set my portal. We start pointing out, hey, we want to go into this building. There's a team in the building. There's a team to our right, so that's probably our best position. I throw my Gibby ult here just in case anybody wanted to get fancy and push out of the building to aim down on us. They wouldn't be able to because I have my ult out. I throw my bubble shield just in case they do push out. We have some cover, and we are safe under the building, and we're able to kind of gatekeep one team here. And then in this situation with endgame, so there's two ways to play this. There's one strategy, which is in the next game, where you can really sacrifice Gibby, throw his ult, don't throw his dome shield, throw Caustic ult, and you win the game. But in this situation, we actually know that there's a Gibby on the other team, so my ult is probably ineffective anyways, and I don't get it back in time. But we're able to actually deter the enemy's Gibby's ult, so the other Gibby throws his ult, and we just have the dome shield to contain it. We have the Caustic throwing gas into the last ring, so he's throwing his traps, and he's been throwing his traps, and we're shooting the traps before they even can disable them, just in case they are able to. We go into ring. He has his gas out. There's a Caustic, and they're trying to do the same thing, but we're able to get the advantage. And that's why composition really matters, is that in those endgame situations, if you're Bloodhound, Bang, and Wraith, there's really no way to counter that. You're stuck in Caustic gas. You're dying, and it's really no way to combat that. So that's why I talk about this composition, because this composition actually is really good in endgame situations if you make it that far. I want to point out here, you always want to get Gibby the gold backpack, especially for reses. When he has his dome shield up, he has that quick res animation, so you always want to give the Gibby a gold backpack. Just so that if you didn't know that, just a quick little tip that I wanted to point out, since in this game I was the one with the gold backpack, and you kind of want to be pulling those reses as quick as possible. Another thing that I want to point out is how many ultimate accelerants that I hold throughout these next two fights. With Gibby, yes, his ultimate charges faster, but having the ultimate accelerants really helps to get it back more quickly. So here you can see I threw my dome shield a little bit ahead of me when I'm pushing this fight, so that I have some cover and I'm able to move up on the enemy more quickly, opposed to throwing it right on me and I don't I lose maybe a couple seconds to push. And again, here I loot the box, and you're gonna see my inventory is just full of ultimate accelerants. Don't be ashamed to carry, three ultimate accelerants. It's much needed, especially if it's right there. It was round 4 going into round 5, or round 3 going into round 4. And the more ultimate accelerants I have, the better. There's no really alternative besides like shields or meds that I could have had, or grenades. But in this situation, having the ult readily available is really important, and you'll see why in just a second. When you're holding house, you can check all your sides. Make sure that you're, again, being conscious of who's your threat and where they're coming from. And in this situation, we were able to, take out one guy on the side. We know that there's a team above us. I popped this ultimate accelerant, and once I throw the Gibby ult here, we were able to get them off of the roof and push them and kill that team that actually is threatening our position. Here I throw my ult just to get them off the roof, and you'll see the Wraith. She comes down, and what do you know? We get her off our tail and get her off of threatening our position, and we're able to keep this house. So now there's still 7 squads left, still a lot of teams. I'm able to throw my bubble ahead of me to get the loot, just in case I was running low on ammo. And this Caustic tried to maybe throw his ultimate, or was trying to think of throwing his ultimate, but I'm able to get the loot with the dome shields. Also one of the perks of being Gibby. I'm popping these ultimate accelerants because I know another team is probably going to try to take our roof, and being able to ult them off of it is really important, because we don't want to play height here, because we have a Caustic and the Gibby. It's so easy to get focused, and there's so many squads left still. Our best friend is being in the house. So you'll see here, we just, we're throwing what we can. We're shooting whoever we can out of our position. And I'll pop my second ultimate accelerant here. I always throw my dome shield after the crypto ult happens. So if I know there's a crypto coming, I wait until his ult to throw my dome shield, because that way it doesn't disable my dome shield. Crypto ults actually disable dome shields. And again, here I'm throwing my ult so I can take them off of our roof, or at least get them unfocused on us. We have position in the house. We keep Caustic trapping up. Our Caustic is constantly figuring out what doors are still open, and we end up with a little small sliver of the building in our favor. So here we're just waiting for end ring. And when this crypto comes, one thing that we always talk about is shooting traps. So crypto does disable Caustic traps. So in this situation, I shot the trap so that there was actually some gas that deterred them from pushing if they were thinking of pushing. I'm not sure if that team would have pushed even if they disabled all the traps. But just one thing to keep conscious of is, another tip is that if you're ever in a building, you have Caustic, tell your team to shoot at least, each person gets 1 trap, and shoot that as the crypto ult is popping off, so that you do still have some defense if they're trying to push into your building. And in this situation, the Wraith is portaling out in front of them. One thing that I talked about earlier was sacrificing Gibby. I'm going to throw my ult here a little bit out in front, but it's going to actually hit me. And this is just a sacrifice that I have to make for the team. So the Caustic is going to throw his ult. I throw my Gibby ult, and I don't throw my dome shield because will make my ult ineffective. And here I get some knocks and some elims with the ult, and we're able to win this game because the Caustic just has to kill the remaining team. So that's one big tip in why composition matters, is because you're able to do things like that. But if you are thinking of running ranked, definitely think about this composition. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful. This composition is the meta, so you'll see a lot of teams using this. So definitely composition matters in this season, especially on Kings Canyon when there's a lot of end circles that are open. Hope you liked it. Leave a comment, subscribe. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Peace out.